I hope everyone is doing gloriously today. We're going to have an awesome interview with a man here, Mr. Ian Pan. Glorious. He'll be joining us soon. I hope everyone's having a great day today. There we are. Bingo bango.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad for a Sunday. Just had a lot of stuff going on the last week, so I've been keeping real busy. How about
Well,
yourself?
is that good or bad?
It's good. I got a new job, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh,
So
God, what's the new job?
I am actually going to be selling capital equipment, so high-end medical devices.
Oh, glorious.
Yeah, like MRI machines, CT scan machines, like X-ray machines, things like that.
Dang, that's so. Now, this is going to be an awesome job for you?
Yep, very much so. Yes. So I used to be in pharmaceutical sales for 10 years. And then actually accident happened. I still stuck out a year. I left the industry, which I regret because the grass is not always greener on the other side.
Hmm.
And very lucky to get back in, especially not just pharmaceuticals, but medical device. Very, very rare.
That's awesome. Now in pharma sales, that is that. It's always talked about in TV as being good money.
It is very
Oh,
much so. It's not actually, once you're in it for a while, it's not a very complicated position. However, getting into it and staying with it long term, like I said, I was with it for 10 years.
yeah.
Um, so the reason that I left was because when you're in pharma, you want to really dive deep under the surface and talk with doctors and high level doctors. And I didn't feel that I could really communicate the way I could pre-accident,
Yeah, yeah.
very surface level, and that was very frustrating for me. And so that's why I just tried to see if I could find something else. And I feel like I'm far enough along in my recovery to where I have that confidence back, that I
Yeah.
know how to slow down myself and have, good conversations. So I'm not really talking with doctors per se anymore. It's more the C-level executives,
Uh-huh.
not, always about XYZ. It's more high level talks.
Oh,
So
that's great. And so you feel like you're able to do that now.
yeah, as the best of my ability, that's for sure.
Well, that's awesome. Well, that's glorious. And I see already seeing hearts fly up. I'm sure we're gonna see more. Oh dang, they're coming. Well, I'd love to start just by talking about your injury, hearing your story.
Sure. So it happened on May 20th, 2017. So as you mentioned by my how to introduce me as Tough Mudder, so I was very active with the Tough Mudder community. Uh,
Hmm.
so it's obstacle course racing, OCR. And so I was actually, prior to that, I've done one 24-hour race in Las Vegas called World's Toughest Mudder, and an 8-hour overnight race called Toughest Mudder. Well,
So like that's that's no joke.
yeah. I mean, I wasn't one of the top elite athletes. I just did it for the fun, and the community was amazing, and they
What
were the ones that really supported me during the accident.
and
I'll
was it in like for you? It wasn't like the fit. I mean, you can do it,
correct. Yeah,
but you're doing it for that sort of like brother.
right, correct. I wasn't doing it for top placing because that was never going to happen. That
Yeah,
was
yeah.
so the accident actually happened. So a bunch of us were in. So I'm from Michigan, where I'm at right now, and the accident happened in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, or just outside. So I was there for another 8-hour overnight race called Toughest Mudder. And so a bunch of us had an Airbnb, and we went that Saturday morning to basically walk the course to see what we'd be dealing with that evening.
Hmm.
And so my friend Adam and I were driving back to the Airbnb, and actually, I don't remember getting into the car. The last thing I remember for 6 weeks is leaving Mutter Village to go back to the Airbnb, and
Hmm.
that's no. So I was in Lancaster General Hospital for a month, and then I was flown back to Michigan where I was at the Rehabilitation Institute of Michigan in Detroit for another month.
So you have no idea, like,
No,
what happened.
I only was able to read from the police report. So
Dang.
what happened though from the police report is that another car was going, I believe, around 85, 86 miles an hour in a 35-mile-an-hour zone. And we were crossing the road, and we were T-boned on my side as the passenger in the car. So
That's all. And you do know anything about the other driver? Like, were they
uh,
drinking or?
no, it was the afternoon. It was 1 o'clock. Not that that means anything, but he was
Yeah.
just a young kid who was reckless. Luckily, my friend Adam was okay. I think his ankle was hurt. I was the only one that was seriously hurt, from what I understand.
Yeah, and so then you get flown to the hospital, or
Well,
you get taken to the hospital, I mean,
correct.
and
And
you get and then are you put into a coma or anything?
I was heavily sedated, I believe is what they said. I don't know if I was in exact coma, uh,
Hmm.
but I was unresponsive for a little while. I don't know how many days or weeks. Um, they, my family would tell me, when I would start, I would respond, not verbally, but I would, if I would like blow a kiss to my sister or wave to my mother or something of that nature. Uh,
Hmm.
but then again, I don't have any recollection, so they could be lying to me. I mean, I don't think they are, but
Well, yeah, but so you're just like, I mean, essentially you're gone.
that I can remember. I like I said, I only remember coming back to Michigan and being in rehab.
Well, now because and I guess I relate to that because I went into a coma and those drugs that they give you, and I don't know if this is true of the heavily sedated drugs, they take swipes at your memory.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So that's why I have a severe TBI because, um, they rate on loss of consciousness and loss of memory. And my loss of memory obviously blows to the roof at 6 weeks.
yeah,
And loss of consciousness, again, I don't know how many days it was, but, again,
you, you were out.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And well, and what I guess what sort of things were you struggling with? I mean, or is it just
Like post accident.
yeah? So was it? I mean, was it the memory aspect or was it?
So the funny part is, so the day that I was released from rehab back here in Michigan, my uncle picked me up and we actually stopped at Panera Bread on the way home. And,
Hmm.
they ask you if you have Panera. And my uncle said no, but I said I do. And she goes, "Oh, what's your phone number?" And I rang off my phone number. And he looked at me, he goes, "Well, I'm not worried about your memory." So it's literally just that 6 weeks. Like from when I was walking out of Mutter Village to waking up at
Yeah, that's the only stuff that's impacted.
correct. So
Well, I'm curious to dive into your recovery because so how long did that take? Your actual recovery time, like rehab, check in to check out.
so I did I was inpatient at RIM for a month. Um, and then I was doing outpatient for maybe close to a year after that. I still deal with things physically. And I think, I'm very blessed where most of the stuff that I have to deal with is physical and not cognitive.
Yeah,
You know, you know, well, let me back up. So the story from back at Lancaster, when my family got there, it was, all right, we don't know if he's going to make it. To a week later, he's going to make it, but he'll need 24-hour care for the rest of his life. To a week later, he won't need 24-hour care, but he'll have to be living in a group home. To
hmm.
a week later, he's ready to go home. And
Dang.
and basically minus the he's not going to make it part was the same at rehab where it's like, all right, he'll need 24-hour care, to he'll need group home, to he's ready to go home.
Gosh.
So, yeah.
So that's, I mean, that's a roller coaster.
And for me, obviously, so because, you know, all my cognitive was there, I didn't feel like I was any different. So like when I was doing OT and, my OT, Colleen would take me, one of my final activities was to go like to the grocery store with her to cook a meal. And so I'm walking down the aisles and I'm just so fast because that's how I would have done it
Yeah.
before. And she was like, Ian, you need to slow down. Make sure you're scanning the fridges and the shelves and see what you need. Don't rush through it like you used to do prior. And
Mhm.
so that's always been kind of my Achilles heel where I don't I know I can't do certain things the way I could before, but I
Mhm.
still feel the way I was. So I still go through life doing things that I used to do, minus the athletics and certain things.
Yeah.
And I make those adjusted, but I feel like exactly the same. I'm just someone who happens to be a severe TBI survivor, which is great because everything I do from the day that I got hurt is brand new because I'm doing it with a TBI.
And you're not, but you didn't have to go through that place of like feeling like you've utterly changed as a person.
No, I'm very lucky with the support system I had around me.
Hmm.
Um, Even when I did go back to a couple Tough Mudder events, people would walk it with me because I can't run like I could before.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, Obviously, so the right side of my body is like a computer that's a little, you know, the data screwed up, and so I
Hmm.
can't run. It's my left is nice and easy, and my right kind of slam, no control.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the whole right side of my body is like that. But everything else I can do. I mean, I've been able to, you know, compete with, not compete, but be on the same level of people that I've, either I work with or whatever I do, because I don't feel that my injury is an excuse or holds me back from doing anything that I have done in the past.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And I think that I mean definitely relate to that. I I rush. I feel like I was always like I'm gonna rush right back in. And I think what's hard though is when you have to take that hit to go, I can't.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I mean, I think not having the cognitive issues that other people are faced with really helps me to continue to move forward.
Hmm.
And so there's really, I mean, I was able to drive, get back to everything that I used to do without really having to adjust my life outside of the physical side of things.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
and that's what's made me really continue to move forward and you know and make me not feel like I'm so different and so you know that I have to be treated with white gloves. It's funny. My friends and family won't let me get away with saying I have a brain injury. They don't use that as an excuse.
Mm.
They won't let me use it as an excuse anymore.
Man, come on.
I try.
It's a good one.
I thought so. But even the people that knew me prior still find it hard to believe what I'm dealing with. And if someone who didn't know me prior
Hmm.
knows me now, if they don't know about my situation, they would never know that I had been in the accident that I had been in.
Mm.
And I think that's definitely a benefit to where I'm at. Um, I've never used it as a detriment. So if something didn't turn out the way I wanted it, I don't blame the TBI. I
Hmm.
blame, well, I blame myself. What did I do wrong? What could I have done to get to where I wanted to get to?
No, and so you don't have any like lasting, like obvious physical.
Outside of not really being able to run, again, so I have less strength in my right side, but I was never a professional arm wrestler beforehand, so no one would know that I
Yeah,
have issues with it. I
yeah,
could just tell someone I have nerve issues or nerve damage, and they don't question something like that per se.
yeah. but then you don't, and so yeah, and you don't have so you're not having the need for like, because I guess the hard part I can see for having people not being able to tell you're different is if you needed that help,
Right.
and you're not in need of that.
Right. No. So when I went back into pharmaceutical sales, I kind of had to recertify on the medication that I was promoting, and because of the difficulty with my right hand, I can't type the way I used to,
Mm-hmm.
and the certification was done over computer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm running out of time or whatever. And I explained that to the company, and they were great. They worked with me. I got extended time, so I was able to complete the task. And with my new company, I don't have to take the same exam, and I don't have to do a lot of the same computer work, and nothing is timed.
Okay.
So that's why I actually, because I'm not registered with a disability, there was no need to fill out yes, have a disability or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't need any sort of um, accommodations. Correct.
Yeah, so there's no need for anyone at work to know.
Right. Exactly. Unless I'm more than well happy to share that with them, but it will not impact my work. So the only thing that would impact my work is myself. So if I'm not doing a good job, that's about me. It's not about anything that I would need accommodations for.
Yeah. Well, thanks. So, I mean, that's incredible that you've recovered to this level.
Very, very lucky. My uncle says all the time, a miracle. He's actually lived long enough to see a miracle. And
Mm.
I go back to my rehab center here in Detroit a lot and see my inpatient staff. And, I always tell them that I'm more than happy to talk with anyone because I understand how lucky I am that where I'm at. And so if anyone that is ever struggling needs someone who knows exactly or mostly what they're going through, I'm more than happy to be there for them to have that discussion.
Yeah, and that you've gotten as far as you are.
Right. One of my visits, like a year and a half ago, my OT Colleen, who I mentioned, she was helping another patient, a younger woman, and she asked if I would have a conversation with her because I had come to visit, and I said absolutely, and I talked with her for a little bit, and how I was exactly where she was, 4 years prior,
Hmm.
and had told me at the end, she's like, look, you're a big inspiration and where I'm hoping to be at your time. And so I won't lie, I went down to my car and I really teared up a little bit. It really got emotional that I was able to impact someone else at same feeling. And that's really what made me reach out to Colleen and say, hey, if anyone needs that, I'm very happy to have that conversation with them because I know how lucky I am. I mean, really, I should not be alive based on what happened with the accident. I mean, 86 and T1 on my side, extremely lucky. I'm not a very religious person, but I was kept here to do something more, and whatever it may be, I'm going to do that because I don't feel hindered by the situation. And so I'm like I said, I know other people are maybe dealing with something a little bit more that I'm dealing with, but you can walk through that and you can have that conversation with someone to help them get to where you want them to be.
Absolutely, and I think I mean, it is the best thing in the world to give that to somebody.
Absolutely. I've had a few people say, oh, you should really do motivational stuff, and I'm definitely not opposed to that. I don't want it to be where it becomes like a job, which I guess I wouldn't mind so much, but I would rather do it more individually based.
Mm.
I'm not trying to, or whatever else these
Yeah.
kids are doing these days. If someone local needs my assistance or on Instagram, they can reach out to me. I'm always more than happy to talk with people, have them reach out. And look, my story is my story. Their story is their story. They're not always going to be exactly the same, but we're always struggling with being a survivor.
Yeah.
And I always say, every day above the roses is a good day. So you could be having a really bad day, and okay, you're here to have that struggle. That's all that matters. You're here to have that struggle. You wouldn't be here if you weren't meant to be here to overcome those struggles. And that's what I still see and love sharing with people.
Absolutely no, and I think, and I understand the I guess the struggle there. Like I I uh, I have always fought the like motivational thing because I feel like that's something for somebody to give you, not for you to claim
Right.
yourself. You know what I mean? But then I think it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, because it just feels weird to be like, I'm motivational. You know, that feels like
Right.
really conceited.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, I'm always happy to talk one on one. I don't always need to be with people that are not survivors, that are not struggling with what we're struggling with.
Yeah.
Those are the people I want to. I don't want to help myself. I help people that just want to do better at business or in life. That's not what I don't. I don't know how to be expert in life. I know how to be the best expert that I can be as a TBI survivor.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think just by sharing your story, that is inspiration in itself. You know.
Right. No, I appreciate that.
Well, and I want to dive in. I want to dive in. It sounds like recovery wise, you were just clicking along. So I don't know. Was there a difficult part to your recovery?
So for me, being that kind of guy that was always on the go, always doing athletic activities,
Mm-hmm.
that was the hardest part for me. I mean, again, that's not the end of the world. So I'm okay that I can't run Tough Mudders and I can't run on the treadmill or whatever I used to do. So I do something else. I'll get on the elliptical, or instead of lifting weights or balls, I'll do something with a cable, something that's more sturdy that will, help me with along with my recovery. So really, I only had to overcome the physical challenges that I was dealing with. And I had, so many friends and family supporting me along the way to where it really didn't feel like it was that much of a detriment. So,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, if I wanted to keep doing Tough Mudders, I would have a crew of people that would walk them with me. It is not about, oh, you're too slow now. We're going on. That's not what the community did. If people ever checked my Instagram early on after the accident, they were supporting me out in California and out west. I mean, people that I never met. Just the love and support from everyone within the community and my friends and family here. It was, and I know not everyone has that same sort of support group,
Mm-hmm.
but I would again just really helps me be blessed that I had all of those people around to help me get through my time.
Absolutely. So that you didn't, for you, having that sort of love and that care from others made it so that it wasn't, you never felt like alone in your disability.
Never. No, I was very lucky. My mother, my sister, and my brother-in-law had literally drove to Pennsylvania within a day and were there about 95% of the time. I think my sister only went back to see her kids at one point. And which, again, it just it amazes me that I was that, even though I don't remember it, I still believe that they were there the whole time.
Yeah.
And,
Because you have a feeling that they were.
yeah, and I hear stories afterwards that when the accident happened, a couple of the people that I was with when it occurred had stayed at the hospital before, didn't go run the race. They were making sure that I was okay, and it's just amazing that I was very lucky with that support system that I know not everyone has. Where that's why I said I'm always available if anyone ever needs to talk, because I know how lucky I was to have that support system. I didn't come back to my home directly after. I went to my mother's for a couple months, and you know, it's a little different having being 37 and having your mom say, "Okay, don't go for a walk because It was, certain things they didn't want me doing right away, obviously, because I was still going at the speed that I was used to, which would have been dangerous for the most part if I was trying to maybe cook or go for a walk or whatever it may have been. So they always made sure that I was slowing myself down. And that again, that's still something that I make sure I realize that what's going on, that I slow myself down, whether it's speaking or whether it's whatever it may be, because I do know that there's something that I could miss. And I don't want that to cause a situation to where people end up saying, well, he's got a brain injury. He shouldn't be left alone and whatever it may be. So I make sure I keep myself on a level playing field. And when I do need to take a step back and breathe, I just kind of slow things down. And it's still a struggle to this day, but that's one of the biggest things that I'm dealing with.
Would you say that's the like, sort of the most like I guess the most challenging side effect for you is that you cannot go as fast as you used to?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, and again, it's not necessarily like not speed fast, but it's just living life in that there's no reason to slow down because I got stuff to do, A, B, C. Instead of just going boom, 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 I need to go, okay, here's A, here's B, here's C, and get it done that way. And that's, like I said, that has been a big challenge for me. I'm almost 5 years into my recovery, and I'm sure that will be for the rest of my life. It'll be something I need to be cognizant of and aware of,
Mhm.
and that's what I'll be working.
Well, I think it is a hard thing. And if it's hard for you, it's a
I'm
hard thing where you realize,
freezing up on.
oh, am I frozen? Can you hear me?
Little bit, just you were chopping that question. I said, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good, good. So I was saying like it's a hard part of your recovery where you get past that first 2 years and you're like, okay, I'm supposed to be all good to go. I don't know if you had that feeling
I
of like,
did. You know, I early on, being in the high level profession that I was in, that was a big struggle for me because I didn't feel I could be the same pharmaceutical rep that I had been in the past.
mhm,
Really, before I could dive deep into a conversation with a doctor, answer all of his questions, no problem. And afterwards, it was a big struggle for me.
mhm,
And every day that I was working, even though I was in a great financial situation, I just I literally hated every day when I got home because I just didn't feel like I was able to give my all when I
mhm.
was, and it really did affect me, and why I decided to try something on the side. And unfortunately, as I mentioned, the grass is not always greener on the other side. So
Oh, yeah, what you went to try what like you went to another
yeah, I tried to do sales that was outside pharmaceuticals, and it just I don't know. It just never felt like I was meeting my that I what I still could accomplish. And so, and unfortunately, it took a while for me to get back to where I am now. I had a couple jobs in between to where I was able to do them, but I knew that I could do that plus and do that more. And so when I wanted to get back into the industry, it was a little bit harder than it had been in the past. And, that was just timing. Obviously, COVID hit a couple of years ago. And so that
yeah,
didn't.
yeah, I'm guessing that must have slowed down pharmaceutical sales.
Yeah. And, it slowed down. So the new job that I got in the first time started on March 9th, and they closed the doors on March 13th for COVID. So that really had a detriment to what I was doing. And then so I tried squeezing that out for like 8 months. And then I found another position that I thought was a better fit for me because it was more inside sales. And
Hmm.
it just, it was great company, just did not again, I was at that point where I felt I was moving far enough along in my recovery to
Mm.
back into the high level business that I'd been in. And it took a little bit of time, but now it's what I'm doing. So
Well, which is awesome. It's glorious. I think I said but it took longer than you thought it would.
it did. Right.
Yeah.
And that really kind of helped me to understand that everything does happen for a reason. We don't know what that reason is. And look, I thought I was getting another job a couple, maybe like 4 or 5 months ago, and it didn't work out. But that led me to this new company and this huge opportunity. Um, and it's actually having me relocate out west.
Oh,
Um, so it's just been, like I said, everything happening for a reason. I don't know why, but I was not meant for this job in Michigan. So I'm going to be moving out west to
what?
take this position.
California?
Actually, Arizona.
Arizona. Oh, dang. So very good.
So, yeah.
So I think the winters will be better. Uh,
I mean, considering it held on us last week here in Michigan, it's you know. So I actually had moved out west prior.
uh,
I was out west for 10 years. I've been back in Michigan for 9 years, and now work is taking me back out west. And so, I moved home to be closer to family,
yeah,
and excuse me, they're growing up, and so I got to do what I think what's best for me. And this company is offering me such huge opportunity. I would regret it for the rest of my life if I not take this opportunity. Will it work?
yes.
I mean, I'm hoping it's going to work out. I'm going to give it all my all to make sure it works out. If it doesn't, then I took the opportunity, and that's all that matters. You know, so I don't mind not failing. If I don't succeed, that's one thing. But I only failed if I gave up. That's my belief is that we're not always going to succeed right away, but if you quit and give up, that's when you failed. That's the big difference for me.
What? Yeah, and maybe, and I think the thing is like, I think sometimes it's like, as long as you fully see it out, and then sometimes you realize, oh, this is not the thing I thought it was, and
Right.
that needs to push me somewhere. But if you're not giving it your all, yeah.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Well, yeah.
So
I had a student say this to me this semester. I thought it was good. They said, failure is just a different way of doing things.
I
That's
like that. Very, very up there. Yeah.
Yeah, it is absolutely, but you also do have to pass. I mean, I do support. No, I was like, I like that. I'm gonna steal that line. Well,
So
I want to talk. I guess for you, is you it sound I guess coping mechanisms through this. What has helped you cope the most?
so really it's just been so I was lucky, as I mentioned, with the athletics and the challenges I was doing beforehand. I've always had that how can I succeed attitude kind of going into it. And, the doctors have said, obviously that's really helped my recovery. That A, I was athletic, and B, I always did things that would challenge me. I didn't shy away from things that would challenge me. I get enjoyment out of that because, as I mentioned, if if I don't succeed, that's one thing. But if I continue to try, I haven't failed. I just haven't succeeded yet, and that is a big difference for me in those two. So really, just like I mentioned, that with my family and friends not letting me get away with using my TBI as an excuse, that's really pushed me to, all right, I want to not do this or not do this, and I'll throw, oh, I got a TBI, or whatever, and they're like, no, get off the couch and do what you're supposed to do, type of situation.
So yeah, you've had to find your own accommodations.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I had actually had just purchased my first home a month before my accident.
Oh my gosh.
So I actually I think I only spent 3 nights here before the hospital, the rehab, and then my mother's. So I didn't get back to my own house for probably 5, 6 months.
Okay.
And obviously, they wanted to make sure that I was able to survive on my own and cook for myself. Although cooking, luckily for my air fryer, I don't have to worry about cooking too extensively. But
Mm. And just
I'm
everything there.
literally everything that's in.
Absolutely. No, it makes life easier.
Really
No,
does.
my, my wife is all about the air fryer. You know. Well, so then, yeah, so for having this sort of mindset, this attitude has been, well, yeah. Well, let's not shy away from the motivational speaker because,
So, so I was very lucky. Speaking of stealing a saying from a friend, a good friend of mine had, whose mother was battling cancer, said, "Every day above the roses is a good day."
mm,
Uh, and so I've stolen that motto because it's true. I don't think there's many people that were as close to being under the roses as I was.
mm,
And I think what has really helped me was that I was not at fault for any of this. I
mm,
drunk driving. I wasn't going crazy in a car or on a ladder or roof. I was a passenger in a car that got hit. So it's not, not my fault. So I don't have the excuse of saying, well, I did this to myself.
yeah.
That's really helped me to keep my drive going that, I'm not to blame for what happened. What happened happened. And yes, I guess technically I have the right to be sad and upset and depressed, but with all my family and friends that were there supporting me, who's going to benefit from that?
Hmm.
Nobody. And that thought is that what has kept me with the positive attitude that yes, I can be depressed, but the only people that are probably going to be affected by that are my family and friends, the ones that have supported me all across the way. So
Well, absolutely. And I think, uh, positive like they've done studies on this. People with positive attitudes have better health outcomes.
absolutely.
You know, well, and I think it's hard, but you're totally right. I mean, I think that depression it doesn't just hurt you; it hurts everybody else.
Absolutely. And survivors have the right to be sad and depressed
Yeah,
for a time. But if you let it consume your entire life, you're never going to break that shell. You're never going to be able to move forward without realizing, all right, I'm here to move forward. Let's figure out how to do that. It may not be an easy road. No one's going to have the easy road that I had or everything that I have, but they just have to find what is going to make them feel able to move forward.
and I think you have to move forward, and I think it's hard, but I think yeah, you're right. I mean, you have the right to be sad, but you can't stay there.
Correct.
I don't know my theme song. I heard this song and I was like, I'm stealing this for my life song. It sounds like a good song for you too.
Oh,
Um, called "Break My Bones," and the chorus is, "You may break my bones, but you'll never break me."
there you go. I like that. Absolutely. I like
Yeah,
that. Or in our case, they may break our brain, but they'll never break us.
absolutely. Because because we're our brain, yeah, and our brains might be broken,
But we're not.
but we're not. I love it. Well,
Absolutely.
and then that takes me to the next question. That is about this sort of place of feeling that broken self. Uh, I don't know if like you said you didn't feel like you lost you. So as my mom once said to me that I had to go through a grieving process, grieving the person that I was. Have you have you felt that sort of grief at all, or where would you say you are in that process?
Again, I think because I don't feel that I've changed so much outside of the physical that
Mm.
although I did actually, I got a tattoo of a phoenix because if you know the Greek mythology
Yeah, yeah.
behind the phoenix, it rose from the ashes. Um, so I like to look at it that way. I didn't, you know, die. I just kind of was reborn with this new person. So live the life of that new Phoenix, that new person, and you don't have to look back at the person who was. I hate to say it, that person is no longer. And I don't dwell on who that person was. In fact, a lot of times I look back on that person who made a lot of mistakes, who was not living the best life.
Mhm.
And I know it's weird to say, but the accident has really helped me be a better person because that person that had all these mistakes is no longer.
Mhm.
And so that person is not living this life. I'm living this life. So as long as I don't fall into the same pitfalls and mistakes that I made previously, then I can move forward, and that's going to help me to be the best me I can be.
And that's awesome because I think like that's my hope for all brain injury survivors is to see the gift that their injury can be.
Absolutely. And I know it's difficult because I know the situation that we're facing and that what I'm facing, and I know it's definitely not going to be someone else's injury and what they're facing with. It doesn't make mine any worse or any better, and vice versa. But we all have to realize that we're able to move forward as that new person, and that's not a bad thing. It's a thing. That's it.
Yeah, it is.
It is what it is, and that's what I love. Why I say, like, everything I've done since my accident is the first time I ever did it. When I finally walked, it was the first time that I ever walked with a TBI. When
Hmm.
I went shopping, it was the first time I ever went shopping with a TBI, driving, working, etc. So, I almost use that as a motivation to say, I get to say every time I did something, it was with a TBI. And so whether someone is unfortunately they're bedridden or they're wheelchair bound, let it be the first time that you got yourself up, up a hill in your wheelchair with a TBI. Use that as your motivation to do first. And
Hmm.
it's always exciting to do something first. And so if everyone sees that as a positive, I think the better off that their recovery will be.
To see yourself as that new person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, because it's all a shift. You just got to shift your focus in your brain.
Right. Just you got to realize, you know, it's almost a new person. Regardless whether it's harder or easier, it's a new situation, and you're going to be able to move forward as long as you see that you can still move forward with
Yeah,
whatever you're doing.
absolutely. Well, and think about this because I mean, it sounds like you've been blessed on this forward trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
If,
Absolutely.
if you could go back and talk to yourself right after an injury, is there anything that you would want to say to that person?
You know, I would tell myself just to slow down and that you will get there. The recovery will, again, for me, 4 or 5 years, enough to where I can continue to move forward further than I were before. And I would just tell myself it'll be a bumpy road, but you will be moving forward every time, every step. And,
Mhm.
you know, just keep following forward and you will get there. You may get there slower than you did before, but you will get there because you don't fail unless you quit.
Mhm. And as long as you just don't quit, you're gonna make it.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And you never faltered on you were gonna make it.
No, again, I think I had that great support system behind me, and people willing to help me if I did need that help. And because of that, I never really held myself back from trying anything different.
Hmm. So you were like, I'm gonna walk. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and now you're gonna run.
they had to hold me back from walking too fast, as a matter of fact. So, you
Oh,
know,
as a fall risk.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Yep, I had the gait belt, and again, because
Okay. Oh.
woke up in that situation where I was like, all right, let's go down the hall. And they were like, slow down, your balance is way off. And I would just go unless they would literally hold on and make sure I was taking one step at a time, not trying to keep going super fast.
Yeah. And so for you, you have to watch out so that you're not falling.
I did then. Now I feel I'm far enough in my recovery that that's not a concern unless I've had too many to drink.
Yeah, don't try running. Post
That
a couple beers.
happened this weekend. It was Tigers opening day, so that's me about that.
So you said it's that's what it's gonna be.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I mean, well, I guess that's I mean, for you, I would bet that Michigan that still runs deep.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm still a Detroiter at heart. No matter if I'm out west, I will always be a Detroiter. My friends and family will always be with me wherever I go. And I've actually got some family out west. I have some friends out west still. So it won't matter where you go these days. There's always going to be that support system wherever you are.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, these glorious, glorious, glorious thoughts here.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate your openness and your help. And I forgot to say this to people in the comments. I don't know about Ian. I can't do the interview thing and read what you guys are saying.
I'm trying not to focus on it because we both be in that same boat. It would not be a very pleasant interview.
Well, no, it'd be a lot of. Hold on, one second. And that would not be good. But no, but it's thank you for these glorious thoughts. I do want to see for you before we roll out of the red carpet, because that's absolutely what we're going to do. I wonder for you any sort of final thoughts, anything that you haven't gotten the chance to say or thinking about.
We've said a lot, and I just kind of want to reiterate. Look, everyone is going to struggle in their own way post TBI, and it may be a rough day, but you are there to overcome that rough day, whatever it may be. And as long as you realize you're here above the roses to continue fighting that path, then you're having a good day. And the quicker people are able to realize that, their attitude will become better. And like you mentioned, having that positive attitude will help you in recovery and just keep moving forward, because you are not alone. There's a ton of inspiration and support online or in your local community. And reach out if you're struggling. Parents and family are great, but they won't exactly know what we've gone through. So reach out to someone within the community, have a great conversation. You can have calls over Instagram or any social media to where you're not alone, you're not by yourself, whether you're bedridden or out in the coffee shop. Make that call, because someone is willing to talk with you about their story and your story. And everyone is extremely helpful in continuing what's going great for all of us.
Absolutely. And there is a phenomenal community here on Instagram.
Huge. Absolutely.
It's glorious. Well, that's things like somebody's asked me, like, what are you doing the interviews? I'm like, I'm kind of doing the thing that I wish I had when I had my brain injury.
Sure. No, absolutely. I've connected with a few people, and I know when I move out west, I've already talked to someone who runs another support group who's actually in Arizona. So right away, I'm going to look to connect with that person, and so I can meet his community that's already out there. It's already established.
That's glorious. That's phenomenal.
Very lucky. Very lucky.
Well, last thing we got to do is we got to roll out the red carpet for you, Ian. What do you got going on? How can we follow you? How can we stay in touch with you?
Sure. So it's IJ Panter, Panter, at Instagram.
Gotta go follow.
Yeah, please follow. Reach out if you have any questions or you need that extra bit of motivation to help you with what you're struggling with. Again, as long as I'm not working, I'm more than happy to reach back out to you. And I want everyone to succeed. What we're going through is not the end. Because we're alive, we can get over it together, and we will be able to move forward.
Well, that's glorious. Glorious. Sorry, snaps is what I do in my classroom. I'm all about appreciation, snap.
No worries. No worries.
That's glorious. Well, William, thank you so much. So much glorious interview. Thank you for the glorious advice. Everybody go follow. And I don't know if you can see it. There's been love all throughout.
That's great. I'm looking forward to watching it back. That'd be great.
That'd be glorious. Well, thank you so much. You
Thank
have
you.
a glorious, glorious, glorious day.
You as well. Take care now.
Thank you. You as well. Bye.